Okay, so last episode, we went over the background of pretty much the people that were in charge of investigating the Hunter Biden laptop. And we learned that they are very shady, corrupt people that were in charge. We learned how impossible it would be to fabricate the connections of this laptop to Hunter Biden. So, like, he's going on Tucker's show now today, saying that it's from Israel. They couldn't connect it to him. I don't know, but let's see what the motive might have been. President Nixon spokesman Ron Ziegler called Watergate a third-rate burglary. He was correct in his assessment then, and he is still correct today, over 50 years later. The illegality contained on the Biden laptop surpasses whatever the Committee for the Re-election of the President supposedly did. Nevertheless, the corporate media is still obsessed with Watergate. A key reason for writing this report and establishing a nonprofit entity to organize it was to give the small minority of honorable law enforcement officers and reporters a proper object for their obsession. The Biden laptop was a modern Rosetta Stone of white and blue collar crime under the patina of the Delaware Way. Prior to the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, a number of ancient languages were mere gibberish and hash marks. Similarly, with the laptop, we were able to illuminate previously convoluted network webs of the people leading the charge for global governance. Additionally, the metadata on the laptop can inform other investigations. Truly, the Biden laptop can be considered a translation tool for open source intelligence gathering into the future. After pouring over 200 gigabytes of data, Marco Polo concluded, perhaps contrary to popular belief, that there are not 2 or 3 boogeymen pulling the strings of America's decline, but rather a legion of hangers-on and grifters who rely on Joe and the entire Biden political mafia for introductions, jobs, prestige, and access. Because of the contemporary nature of this material, a report was the best medium for exposure. As you will see, exhibits drive the report. Books already written about the Biden laptop, although extremely enlightening, featured no exhibits. A movie also did not feature any exhibits. This report was our research group's tour through the Biden political mafia, and all of the narrative in this report is in service to the exhibits. The Biden laptop, along with material brought forth by Bobulinski and other whistleblowers, was akin to a 3,000-piece puzzle, but with many pieces missing. Marco Polo's mission was to put as many puzzle pieces together as we could. A report was the second best medium behind a documentary, which would have delayed the release to late 2023. Well, I still think they should do that. As stated previously, Marco Polo redacted only that which was legally necessary to redact. Shown below was a sampling of the indisputable identifying images found on the laptop that illustrated Hunter's ownership. The Biden laptop contained a trove of personal identifiable information which established beyond a reasonable doubt that the device belonged to the family. Evidently, one of the many live photos Hunter took was to assure a prostitute that it really was Joe's son with whom she was to meet. Any foreign intelligence agency with the Biden laptop would be able to commit identity theft of Joe's entire immediate family, which apparently did not concern the junta. So, yeah, these images were found on the laptop, and he still is trying to claim that he didn't own it. And that's a lot of years of faking. Hunter's $3 million life insurance policy from John Hancock, with his ex-wife Kathleen as the beneficiary, was also among the plethora of primary source documents from the laptop that confirmed its authenticity. The ex-couple's marital settlement agreement was also on the laptop, which alluded to this exact life insurance policy. A large portion of the background research for the writing of this report was verifying, through public records and other tools, the authenticity of the laptop's documents. Said differently, anyone with access to the Biden laptop, approximately 75 people, can publish the documents and images. However, it takes a tremendous amount of time and a coherent research strategy to explain what the documents and images mean and how they can be corroborated to withstand accusations of Russian tampering. So this is the insurance policy. A copy of Hunter's certificate of birth issued by Delaware's Board of Health with an embossed raised seal was also on the laptop. dated 6/18/1985. Joe's law firm at the time, Aronson and Ballack, was listed on the certificate along with a reference to Joe's first son, Bo. The certificate of birth also alluded to a stillborn or perhaps aborted child who Hunter's mother, Nelia, from upstate New York near the Finger Lakes, previously delivered. It is unclear whether Joe fathered that child. Are they gonna go into that a bit deeper? Cause what? All right, social media oligopoly. In the early morning on 10/14/2020, the New York Post published an article which conclusively proved that Joe repeatedly lied about his knowledge of and participation in Hunter's foreign business dealings. The article, in summary, recounted a dinner which Hunter organized for his father and foreign business partners on 4/16/2015 at the Cafe Milano restaurant in Washington. As was common with Hunter's rendezvous, the dinner with Joe was purposely left off Joe's public schedule. Twitter, with no evidence, declared that the emails from Hunter's laptop, which exposed the meeting and thus Joe's lies, violated their hacked materials policy. The fact that Twitter's pronouncement lacked any factual basis did not matter to them, as they were merely scrambling to cover for their preferred candidate. Makes me so much more and more glad every day that Elon Musk bought Twitter. Twitter not only locked the New York Post account, but also blocked the URL in tweets and direct messages. Knowing that his initial task of suppression and censorship was complete, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, in a classic limited hangout, made a small concession and tweaked Twitter's hacked materials policy. This concession, of course, did literally nothing to rectify the situation or otherwise clear Mac Isaac's name. After all, Mac Isaac was bombarded at his repair shop with animal feces, threats, negative reviews, and accusations of being a Russian plant. Animal feces. Twitter's unofficial in-kind campaign contribution to the Biden camp was not their only form of support. Executives at the company donated almost exclusively and handsomely to Joe and Democrats. More of the same suppression occurred at Facebook. I was literally just about to say that it's not just Twitter, because it's not Twitter anymore, and X is not perfect, but Facebook, which Mark Zuckerberg also owns Instagram, people. It's not just Facebook. Facebook is for the Gen Xers and boomers and older millennials, and Instagram is for indoctrinating my generation and younger millennials and Gen Alpha. More of the same suppression occurred at Facebook. CEO Mark Zuckerberg, during his sworn testimony to Congress, gave clues as to what went down behind the scenes. Zuckerberg admitted that the IC, federal law enforcement, and other executive agencies proactively contacted Facebook to let them know about the incoming reports concerning Biden and to view them, quote, with suspicion. Andy Stone, Facebook's then policy communications director and a former press secretary for the Democratic Congressional Committee, was ecstatic to receive this tip from the IC, and he worked to suppress the story. The false information laundering can be displayed by the following diagram. I'm not sure we needed a diagram for that, but I'm a visual person. I appreciate all the pictures. The false information laundering was perpetrated by Laura Demlow and Elvis Chan from the FBI, among many others. Demlow supervises the Orwellian-themed Foreign Influence Task Force along with Chan, the ASAC at the San Francisco field office. Demlow believes it is her civic duty to censor. She told other feds that critical thinking seems to be a problem currently. Ms. Demlow was asked to provide her thoughts or to define a goal for approaching MDM, and she mentioned resiliency. She stated, "We need a media infrastructure that is held accountable. We need to early educate the populace, and that today, critical thinking seems to be a problem currently. People just don't believe us. They're just not thinking straight. They're asking their own questions." To add another injury to the insult of censorship, Twitter locked the White House press secretary's account. In a scene that could have been plucked straight out of an Orwell novel, Twitter allowed the following message from the former Malaysian Prime Minister, Mahathir Mohamad, to stay up on their platform just 2 weeks after their scheme favoring Biden. Quote, "Muslims have a right to be angry and to kill millions of French people for their massacres of the past." The platform even released an accompanying message, quote, "This tweet violated the Twitter rules about glorifying violence. However, Twitter has determined that it may be in the public's interest for the tweet to remain accessible." Wow. After a day or so, Twitter finally relented, but the double standard was clear. Whenever damaging material was released about those who favor global governance, they censor the material with Pavlovian dog-like speed. When those in a protected class sanctioned genocide, they allowed it. If I have heard this, it's been so long since I've heard this, and I don't think most people do know about this today. Definitely nobody in my generation. The technology and social media oligopoly censorship, although abhorrent, is still legal. It has been going on for a decade. Republicans who waxed ad nauseum about the oligopoly censorship controlled the federal legislative branch for 2 years preceding the situation. Therefore, hearings and crocodile tears shed after the fact did little to convince would-be supporters of their sincerity. Yeah, and that's where we're still there today, where the GOP and Congress doesn't do shit. This oligopoly is harmful in every respect to the American Republic. Their antics are Bolshevistic and blatantly one-sided. Nevertheless, those currently in power who complained about the egregious suppression of the Biden scandals did nothing to prevent it. This situation will continue to deteriorate until an honest legislator reads about the history of public utilities in the United States. Intelligence community gaslighting. 5 days after the tech and social media oligopoly suppression conspiracy began, a legion of former U.S. intelligence apparatus bureaucrats and spies, led by none other than James Clapper, released a public statement in which they declared that the arrival on the U.S. political scene of emails purportedly belonging to Vice President Biden's son Hunter, much of it related to his time serving on the board of the Ukrainian gas company Burisma, has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. Even for the genre of bureaucrat doublespeak, this statement was wanting. For one, they did not define what the classic earmarks were or how they were relevant to Joe's lies about Hunter's foreign business dealings. Furthermore, several of the signees declared themselves as technical experts, but they did not even attempt to verify the emails, which anybody with minimal computer expertise could have done by analyzing the cryptographic signatures inside the email's metadata. This was not the first time Hunter's behavior needed a quick and easy scapegoat. In August 2015, he lied and said his account on Ashley Madison, which facilitated affairs for married people, was, quote, not the first time that someone has used my name and identity to try to discredit me. Okay, there's a service for facilitating affairs for married people. Our society and world is beyond fallen. The charade was a bipartisan operation by former spooks to run interference for the corrupt and blackmailed son of the Democrat candidate for president. There was absolutely no proof that the Russians or any of their proxies had anything to do with the release of the now confirmed emails, but that did not matter. The signatories to the statement had a different mission in mind. They simply made it up out of thin air in order to prove then-candidate Joe with an opportunity at the final presidential debate on 10/22/2020 to use their contrived letter to dismiss legitimate inquiries about his foreign entanglements, both political and financial. In fact, it was the only fallback Joe had in Nashville. Quote, look, there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. A full copy of the statement is in the endnotes section of this report. And this is how they do it. They just say, no, look, trust the experts. And we see where that's getting Fauci now, right? Corporate media whack-a-mole. The third prong of the operation was to get national papers of record to cast doubt on Hunter's emails and otherwise tamper the stories that were expectedly proliferating about them. Greg Sargent at the Washington Post declared the New York Post story a fake new Biden scandal. To bolster his claims, Sargent used, you guessed it, another Washington Post story in which Hunter's attorney, George Mesires, declared that Joe's dinner with Hunter's foreign business partners, quote, never happened. That was a lie, and photographic proof of Joe meeting with the Kazakh oligarch and prime minister was shared the following day. The New York Times used President Trump's own administration against him by invoking Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin's labeling of Ukrainian lawmaker Andriy Derkach as a Russian agent involved in a deceitful disinformation campaign. The New York Times finally conceded that 17 months after the cover-up, the laptop was authentic. Trump's fake new Biden scandal has a deeper purpose. Bannon revealed it. They're making articles and headlines like this every single day. Guerrilla journalists at Project Veritas infiltrated CNN and listened to their internal conference calls. During those calls, biased media operators such as David Chalian gave marching orders to the CNN news desk, calling the Biden emails an effort, quote, to throw stuff at the wall in these closing days of the campaign, and that CNN, obviously, was not going to cover the story. Additionally, on the morning of the final presidential debate, NBC was using the exact same talking points from the former Spooks statement in order to lie to their viewers, calling the emails, quote, hallmarks of foreign disinformation. On CBS this morning, John Dickerson and his co-panelists shrugged off the Biden family's numerous scandals, asserting that they, quote, didn't think it matters a great deal with voters. And these broadcasts are still airing every day with their same talking points. While the aforementioned outlets received hardly any public funds, NPR was a creation of the largesse in local and state government budgets and the U.S. Congress. So what did the managing editor at NPR call the verified lies by Joe and his campaign? A quote, pure distraction. A pure distraction that was not really a story, even though the acting director of national intelligence stated that no intelligence existed to suggest that the Biden laptop was a result of foreign influence. NPR still covered for the Bidens 6 months later, although it quietly issued a correction about the laptop being, quote, discredited. As demonstrated below, there was a sophisticated three-pronged sequential operation in play. On 10/14/2020, Twitter completely censored the story and suspended the New York Post account, followed by Facebook and other social media platforms suppressing the revelations. On 10/19/2020, former spooks and bureaucrats declared the emails, quote, Russian disinformation, and engaged in numerous ad hominem logical fallacies against Rudy Giuliani and others. On 10/22/2020, Joe used the media interference of the preceding days to dismiss inquiries during the final presidential debate, relying solely on the, quote, public statement from the former spooks. Compare the labeling of the Biden laptop scandal as Russian disinformation to the merciless 3-year Russian collusion hoax surrounding Trump and his team, which was based on spoofed internet traffic. The current state of the American Republic and its media environment is a direct result of this double standard. For those wondering how Hunter simply forgot to pick up his laptop from a repair shop, keep in mind that he lost 2 other laptops within the same year, in the summer and fall of 2018. For those who are still unconvinced, the following 600 pages will shed light on Hunter's state of mind, along with smoking shards of Parmesan cheese and, quote, picking through rugs to find any extra droppings. He conceded that he was incapable of ensuring that he was wearing pants. The contents of the Biden laptop confirmed Hunter's admission. He lost his iPhone at least 57 times, according to his email inbox. The Biden family displayed such horrendous OPSEC that they are a confirmed national security threat. Here is but one example. Hunter saved a photo of the gate code and Wi-Fi password on Stationary Joe, snagged from the Naval Observatory before leaving in January 2017, no less, at Joe's palatial estate, a rental home along the Potomac River on Chain Bridge Road in McLean. As you will read in this report, the pimps that Hunter patronized and the women he used would exploit his carelessness and could still to this day use similar information to America's detriment. Hunter Biden says he smoked, quote, more Parmesan cheese than anyone when he was addicted to crack cocaine. Yeah, that's probably one of the only truths this man has told in his entire life. The Biden family and their associates and their sprawling political syndicate continue to leave a horrendous digital trail. Within months of Joe's presidential oath, the family's personal Venmo accounts were found within 10 minutes of searching because the accounts were not concealed in any way. They possessed conspicuous and easy-to-guess usernames. Said differently, anyone with an internet connection and a checking account in America would have been able to construct a link analysis of who the Biden clan was paying for which products and services, for what purpose, and when. Luckily, the establishment media alerted the White House before such a scenario arose. In fact, Venmo even changed their source code to guard against this kind of negligence in the future. Amazing. Take the example of Hunter losing his wallet, passport, and Joe's DoD card. Hunter got lucky, and the person who found them called the Yale Club to return the items. The email below did not say that the items were found at the Yale Club. For all we know, Hunter could have lost them in the streets of Manhattan. The director of member services at the club merely stated that someone had found the items, including Hunter's membership card. With this backdrop, consider the following statement from the resident, quote, "He, Hunter, is the smartest man I know. I mean, from a pure intellectual capacity." Email talking about, "I received a call today that someone found a wallet that had your Yale Club membership card in it. They would like to return it if you believe it is yours. Someone found your passport, my credit card, your Yale card, and Pop's DOD card." Wow. They all know it, too. Like Kamala, the entire Biden family, they all know it. In spite of the fact that the family's patriarch is now the most powerful man on earth, the carelessness that the clan exudes has continued unabated. Earlier this year, Hunter's daughter, Maisie, dropped her wallet, replete with PII and other sensitive information, in a parking lot in LA. Again, Joe's progeny lucked out. The person who found the wallet did not seek to capitalize on it, but returned it. Wow, in a social media post. "It's not every day when you find a random wallet in your parking lot, realize it belongs to Joe Biden's granddaughter, and return it to her at the restaurant next door." Whoa, no way. Weird, you should have just pretended you were her for a while. Totally worth a congressional medal. Oh, well, that's it. That is all I am going to read for today.